G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode I'm going to continue working on the rear end of the coupe. If you caught the last episode, what I'd got to is I'd got to the point where we realised that we had to alter the rear chassis rails, and the problem being that the suspension travel on the Mustang's IRS was going to actually interfere with the chassis rail in its current position. So what we've ended up doing in consultation with the engineer is we've agreed to lift that particular section of the chassis rail up slightly, just to make clearance fine. And so what I've done, after playing around with quite a few different sketches and plans, I've ended up arriving at this particular design. This is the template I'm using. One thing though I'm going to point out, I've got this extra bit of bracing on the front of it, but I'm probably not going to use all of that. I'm probably going to trim that back. So that was just sort of an initial idea to put extra bracing, but A, I'm probably not going to need it, and B, it ends up a lot wider than the original chassis rail further down, so we don't really want to do that. So as far as this goes, it's the same height as the original chassis rail in the rear, in the trunk area or the boot area. So that's actually 75mm or 3 inches. And it continues the same up to here past the second elbow, and then it gradually tapers upwards. So I think it's about 85 here before the next elbow, and then continues to get bigger, as you can see. My logic in that was basically that there's no load on the tail of this. This is just the trunk area. The IRS is all mounted here, and I figure that most of the forces are going upwards, so we need to have that extra strength on this front part. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, trace that out onto some steel, and I'll go ahead and use the plasma cutter to cut it out. What I'll do is I'll cut 4 pieces out with the plasma cutter, and then I'll tack them together, all 4 together. And then what I'll do is I'll lay this on top, I'll trace around it again in chalk, and go ahead and use the grinder to bring it all down flush. So what I end up having is 4 identical pieces. So the main thing is that, yeah, all 4 need to be identical, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be standing this up, the 2 pieces up, and I'm going to be tacking in some 50mm flat bar on the top and the bottom. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And the other thing too, the way I'm going to do it is when I put the flat bar in, I'm not going to be putting it down flush with that edge. I'm going to be sitting it up on top of the edge so that both edges of the 2 bits of steel are fully exposed. So in other words, it ends up like a corner, and I can do a fillet weld all the way around the whole thing. And what I'll do also is I'm going to weld it from the inside. So I'm going to have a really good weld, solid weld around through the inside of it, the inside of the chassis rail on those edges, so that after I've welded the outside of it and I plenish it off, I'm not going to end up with metal that's too thin. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. That's what the plan is, and I hope you enjoy, and yeah, we'll get on with it. Alright, let's see if this thing fits. Clamp. Didn't need that anyway. Okay. All right, it's looking pretty good. So I've already got the fish plates up the front here. I still have to make some little fish plates to go inside the back here. What else? Yeah, I'm just going to have to basically shape this little tab here to obviously blend in with the bottom of the chassis rail. But all in all, I think she's looking pretty good. So yeah, next thing is I'll get them fish plates made up. I'll drill some holes in here so I can plug weld into the fish plates, and same here, and we'll go ahead and start installing it. Okay, so I've just been prepping in here, and I've got my little fish plates there ready to go for this end. This end the fish plates are already welded in on the bottom part. I've got my chassis sections all ready to go, got all the holes drilled, and one thing I was surprised about is the amount of dirt and dust and stuff that came out the end of these chassis rails, and I'm saying that after more than a year of this car being on a rotisserie, getting hammered on, sawed on, everything else, and yet there was still dust in the back of these chassis rails. It was just blew me away how much came out. So anyway, we're about to go ahead and start installing these. So I'll go ahead and put the camera on, just put it on time lapse again I guess, and yeah, we'll start plug welding these in. All right, finally got these chassis rails finished up, and they're looking beautiful. So, very solid. Is that a rattle? No, there's no rattles in this car. So what I've done, I've stepped the joins. I think I've got the top plate back here, side join here, and that one there. So they're sort of differentiated by 50 to 100 mil. And same with the front. I took that top plate right down, way past the join. I think the join's in here somewhere, and it goes right down to here. So I think it's going to work out fine from an engineering point of view. When I say that, I mean for strength. They're strong as. So yeah, all done. The next thing is get the IRS in here and then work out exactly where we're going to mount it. The main issue is going to be this thing here, the drive shaft. I need to work out exactly what height the yoke of the diff needs to be at, whether it's here, here, or here. And the only way for me to really do that accurately without any datum points is to get a late model Mustang up on a hoist and probably put a straight edge across the floor panel for bottom of the sills, and probably put a spirit level back to the diff, and then work out the difference. I'll just measure it. Something that's universal, something that I can do on the car and then apply to this, because obviously this is Mustang Floorpan, has the Mustang sills, so it will be the same height relative to the height of the yoke. So I'm just waiting for a mate to get back to me on that one, and once we do that, then we'll be right to set this thing up. So probably what I'm going to do is get the IRS in here, and I'm going to have a piece of RHS running across here, just around about here somewhere, and then we're either going to put the mounts straight on that or on the side of that, and then on the front the mounts will probably come straight off the chassis rail. I think I may change my mind. I may end up having a beam running up and over, but we'll wait and see. But I think what we might do right now is I might just bring this IRS in and we'll see how she looks in place, because I haven't actually put it in now that the chassis rails are secured. So hold it now just to me a little bit, and to the front a little bit, just nudge it. Yeah, that's it, just kick yours. Yeah, whoop, hold there, and just up a touch more. Alright, so now it's as I said before, we've just got to figure out the exact height of this thing. Once we've got that worked out, we can go ahead and fabricate and weld in our mounts, cross beam and everything, and once that's done, then I'll be able to have some fun making up some floor panels and whatnot to come up over the hump and go down underneath the where the rear seat will be, and then join up to the floor pan. So that'll be fun. I'll be able to get into a bit of bead rolling. So anyway, that's to come. So hope you enjoyed that. Please hit a like if you did, and share and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time.